Hi everyone and welcome to Budget with Tiffany. I'm Tiffany and I am really excited. This is my first cash stuffing video and I'm also going to do my very first Happy Mail. As I mentioned in my previous video, I ordered some scratcher challenges and so I wanted to open it, and I will, with all honesty, already technically opened it because I needed to scratch my first scratcher in order to do my first cash stuffing. So I technically already opened this, but so I got this from the Average Budget. So we got a cute little thank you with her UR code and everything. And she was super sweet. I had asked her for several different denominations and stuff, and what she let you pick what colors or designs you wanted and everything. So I reached out to her to make sure that everything was I was explaining exactly what I wanted, and she was wonderful. I would highly recommend her. And then she also sent me a cute little bank slip. And then what I did is, as I mentioned, I am trying to set aside a certain amount of money to be able to pay off our mortgage a little faster. So for the first month, since I'm starting in February, I'm doing a $250 scratch and save. So I scratched off the first one so that I knew what I needed to save today in the my first cash stuffing. But then I realized, since I'm only doing it for 1 month, I really should have scratched off 2. But oh well, I will just scratch off an extra one at some point this month. And so that way I can complete this first one in February. And my goal is to save $250 a month to be able to put towards the mortgage. So so for the rest of the months I did $500. So that way, like this one I will use for March and April. This one, which is cute little bees, will be for May and June. This one I could use for July and August, and September and October, and November, December. And then I also, since she was selling them in a package or a bundle of 7, I got an extra one that was $1,000. I'll probably save this one to use in 2025. But yeah, so these are super cute. I'm really excited. Obviously I like this design. I got 2 of them. But yeah, I'm really excited to get to use these. So I'll set those ones aside, and then I'll leave this one here to add into my next when I get to my savings challenge binder. And then before I start moving forward with the cash stuffing, I want to be upfront with our budget. And so we get paid throughout the month. I get paid every other week. My husband gets paid twice a month from his regular job, and then we have side hustle money. He also gets some coaching money when he's coaching, and then we get things like interest and things like that. So many years ago, I worked a job where I got paid once a month. So I got really used to having to spend on what I'd earned the previous month rather than what I got my last paycheck. So just moving forward, we've just always done that. So that's what we're gonna do, is we'll just collect what we earn in the previous month. So these numbers all represent money that we earned in January. And then but we'll budget it for February or the next month. So these being budgeted for February. My pay is a little bit higher than it normally would have been, and I realized that for some reason they're not taking enough taxes out. It was fine last year, but all of a sudden my paycheck went up a couple $100 a paycheck, and I was like, what's going on? I like the extra money, but and when I looked, realized that they're not taking out enough taxes, especially because some of our other income, there's no taxes taken out, like our side hustle money. Usually it's not earning enough, or we're not earning enough money from it for them to take out taxes. So I usually have extra taken out from my pay to help offset things that where we're not having taxes taken out. And then also our side hustle was a little higher because with the holidays and stuff in December, we were able to earn or work a little extra that we got paid in January. So for the month of January, we earned $9,866.71. So our mortgage is just under $1,500 a month, but we were having them automatically take out $1,500, and we decided to bump it up to be $1,700, that they're automatically taking out. 'Cause like I said, we're trying to pay our mortgage off a little faster. So the savings that we're doing to pay off our mortgage faster will be in addition to that. But so that $1,700 is just staying in the bank. Biannual maintenance is basically a local company that comes in the spring. They check our air conditioning unit and our furnace to make sure everything's working properly for the summer. And then in the fall, they check to make sure our furnace is working properly to prepare for the winter. They also check our plumbing stuff, make sure everything looks good there. And then if we do have anything that comes up, we get kind of a little bit more priority. And then also we get like a 10% discount or something like that on any work that we have done. And they've been great. They've done so many things, including having to replace our furnace, the joys of homeownership. We have cell phones. We're on my husband's parents' plan. So we just pay them $30 for each of our lines, so $60 a month. We pay internet, which is going to change. I just did a yearly renewal contract thing, and so the amount's going to go down, but of course now it's all wonky because we just changed it, and so then they'll prorate the next bill and all that stuff, so it's going to change. Subscriptions, we have like Hulu, Netflix, and Spotify, I think, are the three that we pay for right now. So those just come out of our checking account. My student loans, currently with the income-based repayment plan I have has been $280, it's like $1.87 or something. But I think I might just do $282. But it's actually going to change. I've changed to a different income plan, so it's going to go up next month to like $300 and something. So that'll change next month. And then in my last video, I'd mentioned that my husband, he doesn't really want the cash. He'd rather just have credit card. He has to commute to work every day with his car. He, goes to school for practices. He occasionally buys, some of his kids McDonald's or, whatever after practice. He gets food for himself. If he goes out to somewhere with his friends or something like that, all of that stuff. So that's kind of his like monthly slush fund that he uses for his expenses. So we just put that into one of our checking accounts, and he just uses that money. Usually he pays with his credit card, and then we just pay it out of that. But yeah, he doesn't want cash. So we're not cash stuffing his. So our kind of quote fixed monthly expenses that are staying in our checking account comes out to $2,568. So that leaves us just under $7,300 to pay for other things. And then I just noted here, so our mortgage is $185,137.46 to start the month of February, and my final student loan is $25,750.12 is what I have remaining. And as I mentioned, if you watched my previous video where I introduced myself, so my husband and I met in law school. And so between all of our undergrad debt, I had gotten my master's, so I had grad school debt. And then our law school debt, which thankfully we both had gotten scholarships that paid for a fair amount of our tuition. We ended up graduating law school with just over $200,000 of student loan debt. And through zero-based budgeting, and at the time we were using digital envelopes through You Need a Budget, we were able to pay down over the course of 9-10 years since we graduated law school, over $187,000 of student loans. So all we have left is 2 student loans that I have that are like phenomenally low student or interest rate. Interest rate's like 1.325 or something like that. So I'm not really in a rush to pay them off. I think they'll be paid off within the next 7 to 10 years, based on the normal payments or whatever. But forgot to erase this. And then what I did is I'm going to skip the savings part for now. We kind of took our variable expenses and I budget out kind of how much I want to set aside for the month, and then broke it down for cash stuffing for the week. Some things won't get stuffed each week for various reasons. And like I made note for groceries that the Super Bowl, we're hosting a Super Bowl party, so I wanted to put some extra money towards groceries for the first 2 weeks of the month, because we would be buying extra food and some beer and things like that for hosting the party. So all of those expenses came out to be about $1,300. And then we have our annual expenses came out to be $752. And then our kind of longer term sinking funds came out to $1,683. And once I'd kind of figured out those, I was then able to figure out how much we had to work with for savings, which for various reasons, and I'm very happy that we're in this situation, we had a little over $3,500 to budget with for savings. As I mentioned, my pay was a little bit higher than normal because they're not taking enough taxes out, and I've already fixed that, so they'll take out more in future paychecks. And we got some extra money from our side hustle. So for our emergency fund, I'm putting enough money to get back to our $15,000 emergency fund, which is what I wanted, where it was before we took out the money to pay off the rest of DJ's car loan. And then our priority at the beginning of the year is to fund our Roth IRAs. So I kind of broke down that we would have like $1,400, and it might increase. And then the Friday challenge, I knew obviously exactly what was going into that by looking at what the Friday challenge's envelope had. And then the scratch and save, well, obviously I couldn't figure that out until I actually scratch. So I've got the first one, but then, the other 3 will be determined as I scratch them. And then the rest of the 100 envelope challenge, the 52-week challenge, and the monthly challenge will be based on, the scratch and save, because I have a certain amount that I can put towards savings overall for the month and each week. So that's our budget. And then what I did was did our weekly budget thing. So I'm gonna put this off to the side, and so for today we have, I forgot to actually, we have $2,365 that we are going to be cash stuffing. And for security reasons, anything that's $100, I'm using prop money. We're trying to limit how much cash is actually in our home. So anytime that it's $100 getting stuffed into an account, I'm generally going to be using prop money. I made a few of my own. So I've got like $500 here, which would be for that emergency fund. And then I've got $100 prop money for the $100 bills. So let me go ahead and do you count this money? And I'm going to grab a calculator because I've watched way too many videos to know that I will probably mess it up if I don't use the calculator. So $23.65. Okay. Oh, and my cat's about to jump up here, so Soda, you don't need to jump up here. Can you stay down? Are you gonna come up here? Yes, you are. Hi, Soda. This is Soda, everybody. Okay. Hopefully she'll stay off over there. You stay over there. I will scratch your head. Okay, so we're gonna start with our variable expenses. Stop stepping on stuff. So in date night, we are gonna stuff $30. So I've got a 20 and a 10. And for a lot of these, we get them down to 0 at the end of each month. So that has nothing in them. So we're just starting with 30. Oops. Sorry if that's shaking. I just realized I was bumping my head on it. For eating out, because of, or we never know when we're gonna eat out, so I stuff a little extra for the 1 week and then it'll carry over to the next week. So just realized I'm grabbing the wrong bill. So need 3 20s, a 10, and a 5. It would also help if there wasn't a cat laying on my sheet. So 20, 40, 60, 75. I've watched so many videos with people that have cats. In between meowing and walking across the thing, I knew this was going to happen. So it is very fitting. So gas, since as I mentioned in my last video, the days that I go into the office, I commute by bus, and my bus pass is taken directly out of my paycheck. So I don't have to fill up on gas all that often because I don't drive my car very much. So I enviously only have to fill up my gas tank like once every 2 to 3 months. So we're just putting in, sorry, I just realized I didn't count that, $40. And I just filled up in January, so I don't anticipate that I'll actually end up needing this in February, but I like to cash stuff it just in case I do, for some reason, drive a lot and need it. But if not, then it'll get added to our savings challenges at the end of the month. Groceries, as I mentioned, we're hosting a Super Bowl party, so I'm putting extra money into groceries this month. So we've got 51, 20, 40, yeah, 140, 51, 20, 40. Probably not going to end up needing it all, but rather over prepare than not need it. Oh, I just realized I haven't been writing down. So we've got 75 in eating out, 40 in gas, and 140 in groceries. Household, we're just putting 10, which I did at 10. And it's amazing. I've been watching enough cash stuffing videos and see people that have like beautiful bills. And the first couple of times I went to the bank to get cash, because I didn't want to go in and get like everything all at once. So I kind of went a little at a time. It was just like every bill that they were giving me was like old and stuff. And I was like, I don't really care. It's still money. But I was just like, where are they hiding all these nice bills? Because everybody else seems to have them and everybody's giving me these crappy bills. So, but so I had $20 from last month that we didn't spend. So we've now got 30. So for my food, which is my eating out, when I'm at work, or if I go out with some friends or something, I've got 15. So pet care is, we've got some money, and it is getting 25, so a 20 and a 5. So put this in here. So I've got 1, 2, 300, 20, 35, 40. So 340. Yes. Realizing how difficult this is to do when you're recording yourself. Spending is getting 10. Yes, did it in 10. So we had nothing left over last month. And I've got a nice little IOU from my mother-in-law to get a new purse that I haven't found yet. It's actually a birthday gift, right? Yes, my birthday from last year. And I've been looking, but I haven't found one that I like yet. So still waiting on that. So for toiletries, we're also doing 10. And we did have some rollover from last month, so we now have 20, 35. Utilities, so this is one of the rare exceptions to that we're not gonna stuff bills that normally come out auto debit from our account. A lot of it's just because it fluctuates some, but I just kind of made the decision to go ahead and cash stuff these. So 2 of our bills, electric and gas, come out near the beginning of the month, usually within the first like 10 days. And then our water bill comes out right at the end of the month. So right now I'm just gonna cash stuff enough for the 2 bills that are coming out at the beginning of the month. And then near the end of the month, I will cash stuff the water bill. So we are doing $200. So I've got 3 50s, 1, 2, 3, a 20, 2 10s, 5, and 5 1s. So we've got 50, 150, or 150, 170, 80, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 200. And part of the reason I decided to cash stuff this one is because our gas and electric we've set up as average billing or average budgeting, where they figure out how much you charge or you've charged over the last year and average it out, and then so that way it's a set amount every month, and then they all will fluctuate it periodically to if you're using more or less than the average or you know from the previous year. But our water bill fluctuates depending on how much water we use, so we usually have extra leftover that I can then put into our monthly savings challenges. So that's part of the reason I decided to stuff this one, where the other ones, like our mortgage and student loans and stuff, are pretty much the same every month. So didn't want to worry about those. So there might be a few pennies or something left over. And then buffer, we are doing $10. And we had $10 left over from last month, so we've got $20 left in this envelope. So that is it for our variable expenses. Okay. And then for our annual binder, for annual fees, we are doing $10. These are things like our credit card fees. We have a couple of credit cards that do have fees. We use our credit cards to make purchases and pay it off every month, and we use that to get travel points or cash back. So we have a couple credit cards that charge annual fees, And then I pay for my You Need a Budget subscription, and then my husband has a couple annual fees that he needs to pay for coaching. So we kind of set aside enough money to be able to pay for those. So we have 100, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 144 is correct. Car insurance is going to be $25. And in that one we have 100, 20, 35. And we pay our car insurance every 6 months. We just renewed at the end of December, so we are saving up for the end of June. So we are not gonna stuff car registration, but it has 100, 20, 35, 36. We'll have to register our cars sometime this summer. I think we're slightly different months based on when we registered our cars, but Christmas is not getting stuffed today, but it has $10. And then for those that didn't watch my last video, Christmas is kind of just to like get our Christmas cards that we send out to people, and pay for postage and things like that, and any kind of little thing like that. It's separate than like the gifts that we get. Drops is a company that we get our laundry and dishwasher pods through. They're a sustainable company. They ship it to you in like a cardboard box, so there's no plastic, which I really love. So I've been using them for several years. So I've got, we're not putting anything in there right now, but I've got 20, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, $53. We just got a new order of our laundry pods, and then I'm gonna be due to order our dishwasher pods soon, so I wanted to make sure we had enough money in there for that. So gifts is what we save up for, mostly Christmas presents, occasionally like a wedding. We don't really do birthday gifts too much anymore. We don't have kids, so we don't really do that, and most of our families and stuff, we just don't really do birthday gifts. My husband and I aren't big gifters. We'd rather take like a trip together or something and use the money for that instead of getting each other gifts. And we also have the hardest time coming up with gifts for people. So we just kind of, a few years ago, were like, let's not do birthday gifts. And then we stopped doing Christmas gifts for each other too. So now it's mostly just getting Christmas gifts for family members. So we put $10 in gifts. So now we have 40, 50. So we get our gutters cleaned once a year in like late summer, early fall. We're not gonna cash stuff this today, but we've got 50, 70, 85. It's usually right around $200. Hair, I just got my hair cut last month, so I am putting $5 in there to start saving up for the next haircut, which I usually get haircuts every 3 to 4 months. So home insurance, as I'd mentioned in my other video, even though we have a mortgage, we do not escrow our home insurance and property taxes. We have to save for that on our own. So this money is to pay for our annual home insurance renewal, and then I'll talk about property taxes in a minute. So I've got 45. I don't know why my voice just kind of went up. Went through puberty a long time ago. So I've got 500 in the bank, 50, 70, 95, 600, right? Yes. So our homeowner's insurance is, I think it was like $1,800 or $2,000 or something, I forget. It went up last year. So I always try to put a little bit extra towards it in case it does go up. And if we need extra, so far we've never needed extra, but if we do, then we'll have time to save that. Massage, we're not stuffing today. So at my job, we get, they have somebody come in and do chair massages once a month. And so I usually sign up to do that for 2 months. And they'll do like your shoulders and neck and back, which is great because that's where I have the most trouble with, working at a desk and a computer all day and stuff. But then every third month I'll go and get like a full body massage. And my mother-in-law, being wonderful, usually gifts me a massage for both my birthday and Christmas. And I still have my birthday and Christmas of 2023 to use. And I'm actually getting my birthday massage in a couple weeks. So I have the money to be able to pay for it. And then what will happen is she'll just pay me back whatever it ends up being. So then I can replenish it. And then once I've used both of them, then I'll have the actual money to use for the next one that I'll pay out of pocket. So I've got 50, 70, 90, 110, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 120. So usually the massage is 90-ish, and then I usually do, a 20% tip or so. So I usually try to make sure I have like 120. So property taxes, as I mentioned, we don't escrow those, so we have to pay them. And in Minnesota, we pay property taxes in October or in May and October for the year. So we make sure we have enough money to be able to pay everything at those 2 due dates. So today we're adding 65. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 800 in the bank, 50, 70, 80, 5, 90. So 690 for property taxes. We usually get our official property taxes in like March or April to tell us exactly how much it's going to be. But we usually get like an estimate in like November of the year before, so we have a pretty good idea of what it's going to be. And then yoga is for my husband. So we have 75 in there, and we are not stuffing it today. So that is it for that one. Okay, and then in our longer term sinking funds, we've got car maintenance getting 25. And so we've got 1, 2, 3, 400 in the bank, so 425. And this is just general, like it can be used for like oil changes, things like that, but it's also if we have any issues or anything. So it's a little low right now. We need to build it back up, but clothing is getting 10. Also got a little low. We don't buy a whole lot of clothes, so it kind of builds up over time, but I needed some new jeans, and then my husband needed some new jeans, and then he needs some new shoes. So I'm trying to build this back up. So we've got 100, 20, 30. I hear everybody talking about how much they spend on clothes for their kids because their kids are, growing and stuff, and kind of glad we're not having to go through all of that. I hate clothes shopping. For giving, we are doing 25. So we have one charitable donation that we make that comes out of our account at the near the beginning of the month. It's directly auto debited, so that is the 20, and then I'm trying to put $5. It's 5 in ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I want to just, have $5 that, if I see somebody on the street, I can give, and they need some money, I can do that. I can also do acts of kindness, buy somebody a coffee or something like that. Also, especially if it does build up at all, use this to support small businesses, support fellow YouTubers and Etsy creators, to buy, savings challenges or envelopes, things like that. So this is kind of a general giving / kindness / support small business. So we've got 25. Health is just general, could be for co-pays, new glasses if our insurance doesn't cover everything. So right now we've got $10 and we're not stuffing it today. Knock on wood, my husband and I are generally very healthy, and rarely ever need anything, but always good to have that just in case. And we also have an HSA through my job, so if we needed anything, we can pay it out of that, but we're mostly trying to just build that up and not touch it if we can. So for home maintenance, which is different from our home miscellaneous category, this is for like if we need to fix something on the house, emergency, like a leak or anything like that, more maintenance-esque. So we're getting 30 for that. We got a 20 and a 10. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 400 in the bank, 50, 70, 90, 500, right? People make it look so easy when you're watching them, but then you see somebody mess up and you're like, now I know why they mess up, because it's so easy to do. Hi, Soda. Soda, can you go away, please? Yes, go back. No, don't come over here. Soda, come over here. Let's stay over here. Okay. So for home miscellaneous, these are for things like home decor, if we need, furniture for our house, things like that. Just kind of those odds and ends. So we have a Menards rebate, and then we are adding $10. So we've got 120, 30. Home projects, we are saving up, usually is like kind of a big project that we're doing, but rather than naming it for each an individual project, it's just kind of a generic home projects. But we usually kind of are saving up for one big project that we want to do around the house. Our house has a retaining wall that surrounds about half of the house, of the land, because the land is much higher than where like the sidewalk is. So the retaining wall to keep the dirt up. So we need to, at the very least, have some repair work done to it. There's cracks and things like that, but we might also end up having to replace it. So we're saving a bunch of money to be able to potentially replace it, but hopefully that we can just repair it and not need all of the money. So for this one, we are doing 100. 25. So we've been saving for this for a while. So I've got 5, 6, 7,000, 5, 6, so 7,625. $7,625. We're hoping to probably save about 12 to 15,000. Like I said, hoping that we won't need it all and can put whatever's not needed towards the next thing. Opportunities is my husband came up with this category a year or two ago. It's just kind of like an opportunity presents itself that we weren't necessarily saving for. And we're like, yes, we want to do that. So our things like concert tickets and stuff like that. So we are doing $28. So I got 25, 26, 27, 28. So I've got 500, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 530. And actually I just bought tickets this morning to go to a music festival here in the Twin Cities. So a good chunk of this is going to come out when I do my cash on stuffing. So yeah. But that's what it's there for. And it's fun because growing up, excuse me, I lived kind of too far away from places that had concerts, and it was before the internet, so I didn't even know when concerts were happening. So the fact that we can just go to concerts and events like this, and we can do it without any issue has been really great. Ooh, sorry for the pause there. I got a tickle in my throat and it made me cough. And okay, sorry about that. So our next step is outdoors, and this is to pay for things like repair work for our snowblower, which we had fixed and now it's not snowed, which is so unusual in Minnesota. It's February and we have absolutely no snow outside, which in the 5 winters that I've been up here, 4 winters, we moved up here in 2019. So how many years that is? We've never not had snow on the ground in February. It's also to pay, if we want to do some landscaping or any of that kind of stuff. So today it is getting 10. So we got 1, 200, 20, 30, 40. So 240. So for our roof, our house is pretty old. It was built in 1900, if not earlier. The records only go back to 1900. But the person that we bought the house from had put on a new roof within like a year of us buying it. So it's in really good shape, but we figured if we start putting aside money for it now, then we'll have money to pay for a new roof when we need it. So we're putting in 25. Oops. I forgot we have $100 already in there, so we got 125. My husband wants to get another tattoo, and I might eventually get another tattoo some point. So we're not going to put anything in it today, but we've got 25. And then technology is for things like new computer, new cell phone, anything tech related. We don't have anything in there right now, and we're not putting anything in it today. Oops. And then travel. Travel is a high priority for us. So we try to put a few $100s in it each month to help pay for things. We're taking a trip in March. We're doing an Amtrak trip, which I'm super excited about. And we're gonna go from Chicago to San Francisco. And we booked one of those roomettes where we have like our, a private room that has 2 chairs and turns into 2 beds at night. So it'll be 3 days, 2 nights, and then we'll spend a couple days in San Francisco and then fly home. And then this summer we're planning a trip to Kansas City and St. Louis to go to a couple baseball games. I love baseball, and we're trying to go to every baseball stadium in the country at some point. I haven't been to that many, but trying to change that. So yeah, so we putting in $100. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4,150. This also includes $900 for my husband to pay for a ticket this summer in Chicago to do it's the Chicago street race that NASCAR does. He went to it last year, and they want to kind of do, you know, a friend of his want to go again, and they want to do kind of more of a VIP ticket. So we've saved up $900 for him to pay for the ticket. So yeah, so we've got $4,150. And then we pay for our kitties. We are getting 25. So I got 1, 2, 3, 400, 20, 40, 65, 465. Yes. Okay. And then last we've got our savings binder, which I'm going to pull out that real quick. So we've got our emergency fund, which, as I mentioned earlier, we took some of our emergency fund to pay off my husband's car loan, so we could get it just paid off. And we wanted to get it back up to $15,000, and we've been basically taking the money that we were putting towards the car loan and putting it back into this until we got it back up to $15,000. So by adding $600 today, we are now back at $15,000. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 500, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15,000. So now what we'll do moving forward is, unless we use the emergency fund for something, that same $450, we put a little extra towards this just to get it back to $15,000 this month. But we're gonna take that same $450 and put it into my new car fund. My car is 2007. It works pretty well. Having minor issues with it here or there, but I'd rather start saving for when I do need a new car. And even if we don't have enough to pay for it completely out of pocket, at least we'll have some saved for it. The other envelope we have in here that we're not putting anything into is education. My husband is taking a couple of classes, or has been taking a series of classes at the University of Minnesota related to coaching. And he thought he was going to take the final 2 courses this spring, but he decided to only take one of them. So we have the money in here to pay for the final class in the fall. So we've got the $1,859 in here that we won't need until the fall. Most of it is in prop money, so it's in the bank. New car doesn't currently have anything, so we'll start putting money into that next month. Our Roth IRAs are our 2 biggest priorities to try to get them fully funded within the next, few months. So this time we were going to do 460 between the 2. And so we've got, we're going to color on each of ours. We're going to color the 100, and an 130. Okay. So we're gonna put 100, 200, and must be somewhere I did 2 5s or a 10 when I should have done 2 5s. So we've got 100, 230 to put into mine. So now we've got 5, 6, 7, 20, 30. And then for my husband's, we'll also do 100, 200, 20, 30. I have to fix that because somewhere I should have another 10 somewhere, so I will fix that off camera. 50 or 500, 600, 700, 20, 5, 30, 730. So we'll have, and then for our 100 envelope challenge, we are going to do 8 and 62, so we're going to do 50 and 20 for 70. We got 8. Oh, and I completely been forgetting to say where I got each of these challenges. So thankfully, all of these first ones I think came from the same places. So our Roth IRAs came from Nifty Planner Design. And then the 100 envelope challenge also came from Nifty Planner Design. And I mentioned in my previous video that since our debts are much more manageable now, our focus now is to try to build up our investments. So we have a goal for 2024 to put $16,000 into our brokerage account. So this 100 envelope challenge is one of the challenges we're doing to do that. So we should have, we now have 100, 250, 70, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4. 294. Yeah. Okay, and then for our Friday challenge, this is for, you put a set amount aside each Friday, and this is budgeting with Jenny. So today we're doing 2. So now we have 50, 60, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one is also going to be, it'll total $811 when it's all done. And this one will also go towards our investments, our brokerage account. Then we are doing a 52-week challenge. And next year, I think I'm going to do some like smaller savings challenges. I love watching all the mini Mondays and things like that. So I think next year I'm gonna do some smaller challenges. So sorry, I apologize again. I had a tickle, still that tickle in my throat. I think I said that was 64. Oh, we'll come back to the scratch and save. So we'll still go with the 52-week challenge. So today we are putting in 50. Decided to try to knock out some of these bigger numbers. So now we've got 50, 70, 80, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. So close. Almost put that in the wrong one. So in the 52-week challenge was also by Nifty Planner Design, and it is also going towards our brokerage account. And then so that I don't forget, we are going to add in our scratch and save that I got from the average budget. Oh no, I didn't test this. It is the wrong size. Oh well, we'll keep it on the side. So yeah, so I scratched off 45. So I'm gonna take 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and put this in here. And we will just stick this in the back. I didn't even test that. Oh well. And then for our monthly challenge, I'm not doing anything this cash stuffing, but I did finish the January one, which was to save $300. So I've got 1, 50, 2, 20, 40, 60, 70, 85, 95, 300. So I'm gonna take that back to the bank to put towards our investments. And these monthly saving challenges are from Savvy Budget Babe. So I'm going to set that aside to take back to the bank, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the February one, which is a cute little heart Valentine theme. And so it's really nice because it's just 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and 4 different rows of that. So it adds up to basically be $75 each row, which will total $300. So between rollover money or money that I don't spend and money that I can set aside, I'd like to try to put that $300. And then I didn't say for the scratch and saves, this will go towards paying off our mortgage a little faster. So each time I complete one of these, it'll go towards our mortgage. And then we are actually going to scratch off definitely 2, and then depending on what the number is, or the numbers are, maybe 3. So let me see. Let's see. 40. I'll go up here. 25. That's 65, and this is 250 total. So it's 110. Oops. So we've got 140 left. So I think I'm just gonna stick with the 2 for next week, and I'll probably try to do a 3rd the week after that, or for the 3rd cash stuffing. So yeah, so I think that is it. I'm so excited again to be starting this and to have you here. And I know this was a really long video, and I appreciate it if you sat through and watched all of it. And if you would like and subscribe, of course I would be honored and super appreciative. Yeah, so thank you so much.